Hey, what's up guys, and Happy New Year! Since pretty much everyone I know is going to do a countdown later this evening, I decided to do a little countdown here myself. There's going to be 5 cool things that you should definitely try out in Blender. Let's skip the hassle and get right to it. So the very first thing is PBR rendering. So PBR, or physically based rendering, is all about making models appear really realistic by adding really good materials and really good lighting. Now by good I mean based on the physical world, so PBR uses physics, light physics, to calculate how objects should look from all angles, to make them look really realistic and make them very believable. Now what you're looking at here is Unity 4, so that's real-time PBR rendering. This looks really close to reality, but especially if you're making 3D renders, still images, you can make images that look perfectly photorealistic. You can't tell a render from an image anymore. And that brings us to the second thing, which is the Principled shader in Blender. Now this is a node that allows you to make really realistic materials that use these real physics to create materials that look really realistic, and also do that really fast. Now here I'm adjusting some of the values to make it look rougher or more glossy or more metallic, but you can also have images, textures that drive these colors and roughnesses to make materials that look, well, really believable. Now for number 3 of things that you should definitely try out in Blender is hard surface modeling. Now software packages like Blender are mostly known for non-hard surface modeling. So that basically includes any model that isn't made to be static, like animals or creatures that should be animated, that should be rigged, have a skeleton. So basically models that deform. Now, as designers, we design things that are mostly static, from materials that are woods or metals or plastics. So that's why I recommend hard surface modeling. You get access to a bunch of tools that allow you to create geometry that is mathematically correct, or that has nice edge flow, or it really depends on what kind of model you want to make. But unlike CAD software, you make models that are really quickly adjustable, that you can change things, add detail, remove detail really quickly, without messing with dimensions or intelligent modeling too much. Now hard surfacing is a little bit more difficult to do, especially if you come from a CAD software. There's a bunch of different tools that you need to learn because they're very different from how technology-based CAD software works. But if you get the hang of it, you'll notice that it's a lot quicker, a lot more fun actually, because you make geometry really quickly, get to see your results really realistically, really soon. Really. So yeah, definitely check that out. And that brings us to number 4, which is Sub-D or Subdivision Modeling. Now this is the way you go about hard surface modeling, because we model with polygons, which are flat faces, and you don't want every model to look really faceted and made up of flat faces. You want smooth curves, smooth transitions, smooth surfaces. So that's why we use these flat faces, these flat vertices, as a sort of cage. The software then smooths out the surfaces underneath this cage to make the model appear a lot smoother. So your surfaces become sort of a 3D spline that works in 2 directions, and then you can control all of the different points to make the surface appear rounder, smoother, whatever you want to do with it. Now, if you come from SolidWorks, for example, the surfacing in SolidWorks is just horrible, and you'll notice that this kind of making surfaces is so much faster, so much smoother, so much less of a headache. Now if that all sounds way too complicated, don't worry, head out to number 5, which is sculpting. Now, sculpting is mostly associated with the arts, with making, for example, busts or faces, and therefore you might think that sculpting is to no use for a designer. However, in car modeling studios, for example, we still see that people use clay as a material to sculpt. Now there's a golden mean between 3D modeling and sculpting with clay, and that is 3D sculpting. You can use the digital equivalent of many tools that sculptors use, but also use tools that aren't really possible in real life. And this allows you to make really smooth models with interesting curves and interesting shapes without thinking about the technicalities of all the surfaces. You don't have to think about edge flow or curvature gradients, for example. Now this does leave you with a model that isn't really suitable for further detailing, but with some simple retopology you can make a model out of this that is mathematically correct and consists out of a base mesh for sub-D modeling, like I explained earlier. Now this process is called retopology. I won't go into that here, but maybe in one of these next videos of this series. Alright, so that's 5 things that you should definitely check out in Blender. I'm probably gonna do another episode because there's a bunch of different things that you can do with Blender. A couple of different techniques to make real cool renders, to make really cool models and go into modeling real quickly. There's a bunch of different ways to do that, and that's why I started this new series of 5 cool things to check out in Blender. So enjoy the night. If you're watching this later, I'm recording this on New Year's Eve, so that's what all the fuss is about. But I hope you enjoy your night. I hope you have a great 2018. For 3D Pilot, I'm gonna try to make as many videos as I can, definitely weekly, and if I could squeeze in some more, that would be great. It's gonna be quite a busy year for me. I'm gonna do an internship here in Ghent, and I'll be heading into my second master's degree of product design and development, so it's gonna be a big year for me. Now for you, if you make any New Year's resolutions, definitely include Blender, learning Blender, because I think it's a great tool. It's a fun tool. It's a tool that lets you create really nice renders, objects, animations really fast. In my opinion, way faster than any CAD software could ever do. So, well, it's just something to consider. But yeah, I'll see you next week with another video, and see you there. Bye!